Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the June 16th, 2026 school board meeting for Columbia Heights Public Schools. If you're able, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Thank you. Laura, if you could call roll.
Hool. Here. Vodness Bondas. Here. Maderas.
Here.
Palmer. Here. Petway.
Here.
And Granlund.
Here.
And Superintendent Stenvick. Here. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, Columbia Heights Public Schools. Our mission statement is creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. Our core values are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. All right, next up, we have our agenda approval, adjustments, and announcements. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Jessica. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Michelle. Discussion. I would just like to say that for folks following along at home, the personnel report has been moved out of our consent agenda, as it is something that we regularly have to do, and we will be discussing that further into the meeting when we move forward into action items, since it is an action item. Any other discussion? All right. We'll move into voting. All those in favor of accepting the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Announcements. June 19th, the district is closed for Juneteenth. June 23rd, we have a 5:30 work session here in the community room. June 30th at 6 p.m., we have our school board meeting here again in the community room. And August 18th at 5:30, we have a work session. Guess where? The community room. All right. Next up, we have communication to the board. This is where, at this time, any citizen or employee may briefly address the school board. The board will listen to the brief remarks, ask clarifying questions, and, if desired, request that the administration follow up. The board will not take action at this meeting on requests presented at this time, and time will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. There is nobody here at this time. All right. Moving into the consent agenda. Our consent agenda includes policy second reading for 506 student discipline and 508 extended school year for certain students with individualized education plans. The Treasury report from April 2026 and minutes from May 26, 2026. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Jenna. All right, any discussion? No discussion. All right, we'll move forward into voting. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We're just trying to speed run the typical stuff because we got a lot of stuff going on later, so. Next up, we have the acknowledgement of contributions. We'll wait for that to load. All right. Minnesota statute 123B.02 permits school boards to, quote, receive for the benefit of the district bequests, donations, or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. On that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district and for the benefit of pupils thereof, end quote. Therefore, the School Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools, Independent School District Number 13, resolves to accept with appreciation the $24,436.68 in monetary contributions detailed in the background. Monetary. Anonymous donated $300 to Columbia Heights Public Schools for general support. Anonymous donated $2,275 to North Park for school supplies. USTA Northern donated $3,000 community tennis grant to the activities department. Hometown Ticketing donated $5,737.46 from the Fridley Heights softball fundraiser. Hometown Ticketing donated $625.09 from the Columbia Heights High School tennis fundraiser. Rebel donated $1,389.85 to the North Park PE department. Linda Zuidema, donated $500 to Valley View for student use. Columbia Heights Athletic Boosters donated $10,300 to the activities department to support boys and girls soccer, the synchro team, boys tennis, the football team, and homecoming fireworks. Medtronic Foundation donated $120 in Target gift cards to Valley View for school use. Artisonia donated $189.28 to North Park for North Park Art. Value in kind. Carol Benning donated two six-packs and 4 12-packs of soda valued at $29.40 to the Columbia Heights High School Media Center for helping with the food shelf. The Columbia Heights Police Department donated 10 bikes valued at $1,250. The Fridley and Columbia Heights Rotary Club donated 10 bike helmets to students at Columbia Heights High School and Columbia Academy valued at $250. Lisa Von Drask donated 78 books valued at $780 to Columbia Academy, Highland, Valley View, and North Park libraries to provide literary research collection. The total fiscal year 2025 to 2026 monetary contributions to date, $117,690.98. Can I get a motion to accept the acknowledgement of contributions?
So moved.
Thank you, Michelle. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Jessica. Discussion. Go ahead.
I'm glad to see that we wrapped up the school year strong with continuing generosity from the community, so that's wonderful to see.
Yeah. Well said. Anyone else? I think just as always, it always floors me to read these and see how committed our community is to supporting our schools and our students. And I'm grateful for that every single day. All right. We will move on to discussion, reports, and information items with reports from members of the board.
I think we have to accept the.
Oh, yeah, nope, you're right. We have to vote on that now. We did the discussion, now we need a roll call vote. Thank you.
Yes, and
If-
it's definitely worthy of a
Yes,
thank
it
you, so, yes.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. Petway.
Aye.
Palmer, aye. Maderas.
Aye.
Fodnas Bondas.
Aye.
Hool.
Aye.
And Granlund.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the
And
reminder.
thank you.
I just got to screw up Robert rules like early in the,
You gotta do it.
early
Get
in
it out of the way.
and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Right in the pump.
Now it's over.
Now it's over, so we're good. Yeah. All right. Reports from members of the board. So I will start. It has been a really busy last few weeks since our last meeting. I had the opportunity to join Superintendent Stenvik in Boston as her guest, representing the people of the Twin Cities and, more importantly, the people of our school community here. And it was really an honor to be able to be there during that time, and to be able to continue to talk about the impact, the continuing impact of the surge on our community with a lot of people. A lot of people seem to think just because the government says, oh, we've removed the agents, that means everything is done, but there's still a lot of lasting harm that's happened, just, having kids home again and getting them ramped up and supporting them and helping people, getting our kids back to a more stable place. So it's an ongoing thing. So I was really grateful for the opportunity to join Superintendent Stenvik and to be able to talk to a room full of people who were really interested and really cared about what has happened here and what continues to happen. I also was able to join Mr. Herber's civics class, which is always a joy. I didn't get bumped this year for Representative Feist, which is just fine. It was a joke from last year. It was really fun to be able to go in there and answer questions for students and talk about the difference between governance and management, and also why school board matters even to them, and the importance of the student voice to this board, and the care that we have for our students and staff and families. And it was really, really interesting, and they had great questions. I also helped out at the senior party, which was a lot. Just a lot of fun, but also it was wonderful to be able to see the students celebrating the year with a lot of positives and having a lot of fun with their friends. Bittersweet for me as the parent of a senior, now graduate. I also attended the Peace Breakfast, and I attended graduation, which again was bittersweet. The ceremony was wonderful. We celebrated, nearly 300 students coming, to the culmination of their high school, their, K-12 career. It was especially, again, like as a parent of a senior, it was wonderful to be able to see these kids that some of them have been in kindergarten with my child, to see them walking across the stage. That was really wonderful. So inside it was wonderful. Outside, there's been a lot of a lot of conversation about sort of interactions between police and families and students and people attending. I've had some folks reach out to me about it as well. Superintendent Stenvick and I have discussed it, and we are continuing to talk with, the community and anybody else involved with those things, so we can make sure that our graduations continue to be safe and supportive to our families, and our students and our staff. It is the second year where we're at Aldrich, and it continues to be a growing and learning curve, especially moving to a completely different venue like that, and continuing to have these conversations to make sure that we are really prioritizing and continuing to prioritize the safety and well-being. And I'm happy to say that there was no physical altercations at all. It was great. Hearing that from other places is always a little bit challenging, but I'm really proud of the way that that our students and staff and families were able to be successful in that, and continuing to have conversations. So, and then prior to this, I had the chair meeting and multiple conversations with board members and community members over the past few weeks. And Superintendent Stenvick. All right, I've talked enough. We'll move on to you, Michelle.
Yay. I attended the powwow, which every year is really, really fun, good to see. I'm glad it was back outside so that, there was more room to move about and kind of, catch some sun rays. It was a good time. I also presented in Mr. Herbert's civics class for the second time. I have to say, this year I was impressed. Last year there were a lot of dry faces and kind of like sleepy eyes. And when I said yes again, I was like, why did I do this? I grew an even greater respect for our teachers last year, because I was like, oh my gosh, to be in front of the class and to keep seeing these faces who are so uninterested in whatever you're talking about, like that takes a certain type of person, and I didn't want that this year. But to my surprise, everyone was very interested, asked a lot of questions, and I was really, really happy to give my perspective, because I'm pretty sure that all of us who did attend that kind of came at it from different angles and different ways. And so, yeah, I was really, really happy with what happened. And I have to brag a little, because I was told that I'm the first one to get the entire class up for the picture at the end. So I'm just saying. I also attended the Valley View Fun Run, which was great. I did not stay until the end to see Coolman get dumped with water. even though it'll probably be the last time we see that. But it was really fun. Anita got to play marimba. My daughter got to play marimba for the second to last time, I think it was. And I always enjoy watching them play, and it was outside this time, so it was like a little better even. And just watching all the students have fun and do their thing. I attended the Peace Breakfast as well, great event. It was my first one. I know that these have been going on for a while, but it was really nice to come together and just have community and hear from some of our leaders and people in the community who've been working for our students' safety and our safety. I also attended the end-of-year celebration at Columbia Academy, which was fun. I'm usually, I'm by myself now in these spaces because I have a middle schooler and she doesn't need me anymore. And so I'm just like, I'm just here. So it was fun. But it's nice getting her to see, getting to see her with her friends. And that was the last marimba performance of the year. So that was a really good time. They got to play while people came in and got their walking tacos. And so it was a vibe in the cafeteria and a lot of fun seeing people kind of dance to the beat while they were eating. I also attended graduation, always a great event. I'm sure everybody's going to say the same thing about the event, so I won't harp on it, but it was awesome to see everyone. And yeah, I attended the chair meeting right before this one, and I may have missed something, but there you go. Thanks.
Thank you. Laura?
Well, my report isn't quite as extensive. I had some real-life stuff that kind of got in the way of a lot of the fun end-of-the-year stuff, and now that stuff is out of the way, I look forward to more things coming up this next year. But anyway, I did attend the 9/16 board meeting. We finalized, some of the contract stuff, and that's all done. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to report there. But the graduation's always the best time of the year. It's like the perk of being a school board member, is being able to greet all those and congratulate all those graduates. So, and it was really a wonderful event. I'm starting to warm up to Aldrich. I still miss hometown, but I do like that additional space and being able to have more family there. And I think that as far as probably spectators are concerned, it's got to be a lot better than facing into the sun, with the students' backs facing them. So I think it's really good. And congratulations to everybody who put that great event together. That's it for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Jessica?
Thank you. I also participated in a whole flurry of end-of-year activities, so I had to put some notes on my phone to help me remember. I attended and I also helped host the end-of-year celebration at Highland Elementary School, and it was the debut of the remodeled booster wagon. So that was kind of fun to be the guinea pig and try that out a little bit. We also had the 5th grade party over at Highland to celebrate the transition of our 5th graders over to Columbia Academy. I was able to attend the Columbia Academy celebration, which was also recognizing the end of the year for everybody, but also particularly the 8th grade students as they transition over to the high school. And there were lots of staff in attendance for that event, talking to families and celebrating with students, and so that was really great to see. I also attended one of the track and field days for the district. I always try to attend one of those if I can, because it's so fun to see, especially for the 4th and 5th grade, all of the schools together in one place, like all of the 4th graders from all 3 elementary schools together, participating in different individual and team events. And it was really fun this year, but I also was able to overhear an interaction between 2 students that warmed my heart. I had to tell Superintendent Stenvik about it, and I swear that this is true. This is like one of those things that didn't happen for 500, but it really, really, really did happen. They had the relay race, and all of the schools were competing in relay races, and the team that had just lost the relay race came off the field, and I overheard 2 students talking, and one said to the other one, "It's okay because our teacher said we're all winners in her eyes." And the response from the other student was, "Yeah, And we're all winners because we're all Highlanders. I swear that is an interaction that I actually overheard at track and field day. And so that is something to put in your pocket
Or
for
on a t-shirt.
darker days. Yes. And just a reminder of how close-knit our community is and across all of our buildings. So that was pretty amazing to be in the right place at the right time to overhear that. I was also able to attend the powwow out on the football field, which was great. We had a really good turnout and really perfect weather. So that was great to be able to attend that. I watched from my living room as Zena and others accepted the JFK Profile and Courage Award. And I was just welling up with pride and maybe a few tears for everything that you have done, our community has done, and the people of the Twin Cities have done to protect their neighbors. So that was, I was glad that I was able to watch along with many others as that award was accepted. And then I was also able to stop by the town hall that the district hosted in collaboration with the Columbia Heights Police Department at Columbia Academy. And I was really interested to hear what are some of the outstanding questions and concerns of our community members, in particular questions that remain amongst some of our community about what is the role of the police in immigration enforcement in our community. And so I was glad that I could be there to get a better understanding of some of those questions. And I think that was a really helpful event. So I hope that we have opportunities to have town halls like that again in the future. I was able to attend the Peace Breakfast as well, and it was great to see that event grow over time and just have really packed tables and really wonderful speakers talking about, again, how our community has come together, continues to come together to build a really strong city. So that was awesome. I want to add my own congratulations to all of the 2026 graduates. I was so happy to be at the ceremony to celebrate all of the accomplishments of our grads. A special congratulations to Chair Granlund and to Director Palmer for the graduation of their own seniors. That was really amazing to see you be able to participate in that with your own students on the stage. It was really awesome inside the venue to see graduates and staff have the opportunity to be recognized for all their hard work and achievements and contributions to the Columbia Heights community. I was really, really honored to be there. After the ceremony, I did find myself surprised and concerned with the scope and breadth of security protocols in and around the venue by the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. I think we all recognize that there are very real safety concerns around holding large graduation ceremonies. But the volume of officers and the presence of canines and drones was a shock to me and I think to many others. And it caused, in my view, unnecessary alarm within a community that has been through authoritarian surveillance and violence this year. I did reach out and follow up with Superintendent Stenvik on this and what can be done to assure that graduates and our families have access to a safe, secure, predictable, and celebratory environment at future ceremonies. And I want to thank you and your leadership across the district for their diligence in continuing to have those discussions, both internally and with partners across the community. Lastly, I have had several conversations with community members and families about the financial pressures facing the school district. I think the sort of impact of us doing a lot of outreach this year around legislative action has been that community members are really kind of tuned in and engaged, and so a lot of folks do have questions about where things stand. And so I did have some conversations with folks about those pressures, and then also how the partial hold harmless for compensatory aid passed at the end of session and how that impacts our budget both next year and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jenna.
Yeah, so it's been a busy end of year for me as well. I was happy to attend the track and field day at Highland, which again had great spirit, and you could see how close knit the kids were, and they were all in good spirits. And I also attended and helped out with Jessica at the end of year bash for Highland, which had the boosters selling hot dogs successfully and a bouncy house, and they had carnival games, and the new PTO board members all worked together with the outgoing PTO board members. It was a very successful and well-attended event. And then a few more impactful events. I attended Peace Breakfast, where we acknowledged and celebrated community members who stood up during Metro Surge, including Superintendent Stenbeck. So I was very honored to be at that event. And I was also honored to be at graduation and hear a great keynote speech and shake the hands of all of the graduating seniors and congratulate them. And I agree with Laura that that was truly an honor and a perk and very great event. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Julie?
Yes, I also attended the graduation, which I thought was fantastic. I loved our banners, by the way. I'm glad we can use them over and over. They're wonderful. I think what I loved the most was we had restricted the whole place from the air horns. And so, and a couple got through.
Yes.
But actually, the screaming for every child that graduated was absolutely louder than an air horn, and I thought it was great. You know, they only do it once, right? And so high school is a big event, and that was a lot of fun. I also had several community members mention how they were concerned about the finances of the district. And so what I did was I attended the Fridley City Council meeting on Monday the 8th, and I kind of gave them an overall update from our district. And I started with the surge and kind of how our teams, had to expand school for online learning. I said we lost about 38% or 40% of our kids during that time because of the fear. And so I said, we rallied, our administration rallied and got an online school up and moving, and that was awesome. And so that was the first thing I tackled, was that, because I only get like 5 minutes, so I'm like trying to get through everything. I talked about our special election, and that we elected a new board member, Jenna Fodness-Bondas. I said it right. And mentioned how long you'll be on the board representing. And then I talked about our graduating students and how they received about $300,000 of scholarships from our community, including South Fridley. So, being a part of Fridley, and, just letting them know we're so grateful for them to support our students, whether it's the Lions Club or Kiwanis or whoever was a part of that. We just really appreciate their support, and just, remembering us over here in Columbia Heights, because I know there's a Fridley School District as well, so many kids may go there, but it was nice that they're supporting us. And then I gave the financial update, and I mentioned, mainly because there's so many people that came up to us, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And I was just really excited to tell them, because I talked about, how we had set a higher fund balance policy. We did not go below it when we negotiated our contracts. We have been saving to ensure that we have some assigned funds for some of those needs that we know we're going to have continuing with English learning and so on. I said we also have been saving because we knew we have this ebb and flow of number of students that come and go. And we had a high number of students in the last couple of years, and now it's kind of dipping. So we need to probably dip into that fund balance. So we're being very cautious. I explained kind of when I started on the board, it was like at 4.4%. Now we're at 13, 14. So just really excited to share that we had grown a fund balance because now the legislature has changed and has decided to take away $3 million of our funding. And so I mentioned that, and I said, you know, we've got real needs, and especially since about 76% of our kids are in that needy bracket, and actually, they actually are part of that aid, compensatory aid computation. They should be anyway, but this year they weren't, you know, so we really struggled with getting that hit. But thank God we did decide that we were going to take the hit, and hopefully next year we can lobby again to Congress, or I keep calling it the legislature, and hopefully with the committee that you're on, that we'll be able to explain our need and hopefully redistribute that money back to us. So I did mention that, and I also mentioned our bond rating. You know, we have an A1 bond rating, and that is AA1. AA1, which is the best you can have. And so I mentioned that, and the eyebrows went up on the city council because they haven't experienced that over in their district. So it was exciting to give them that. The city council was very thankful that I gave them that update. I felt wonderful about it. I gave kudos to Brian and his team. You know, they've been diligent about watching those numbers and, you know, doing the right thing, being good stewards of our tax dollars. So I just wanted everyone to know that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. It's been mentioned that there were a lot of end of the school year events. So on the last day of school, I was able to make it to 3 schools. And I just want to say that the staff made that send-off for students really special. I know member Fadness Bondis was at Highland, seeing the line of bubbles and waving and pom-poms and noisemakers and wishing kids well. So they really do it across the district. They really do it well. I want to say that I appreciate all of the board members' comments about graduation. It is that fine balance between safety and security and also providing a fun and welcoming event. Right after that, I attended the MASA board meeting that was in central Minnesota as the Region 9 representative. So among other topics, I wanted to share that we discussed at length the question that will be on the ballot across the state of Minnesota regarding a constitutional amendment to increase the permanent school funding. This isn't a topic that all voters are well-versed in. MSBA and other organizations, other educational organizations are compiling information for districts to use in order to educate the community on this topic. And some of the board members will recall at the Day at the Capitol back in March that we did have a presentation about it. Please know that more information will come. I also want to note that the district will be providing factual information. We're not allowed to campaign for or against, so we will not be doing that. Of course, people in their personal lives can do that, but not using district finances or district emails or anything like that. Just a note. So more to come on that. It's a really big deal in the state of Minnesota, and one that would not increase taxes for homeowners or for some. Looking ahead to the fall, the admin team is beginning to compile some of the data for the Vision 2030 strategic planning reporting. And lastly, the auditors are now on campus this week, beginning their preliminary audit work for the fiscal year 2026, which we're not even finished with yet. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much.
Can I add something?
Yep, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, it was just, you brought up the bubbles over at Highland. It popped up in my feed. The one that just graduated, I actually recorded the Bubble Brigade at the end of the year, so that popped up on my feeds. When you brought that up, I was like, they're still doing it, yes.
That's awesome.
Just a little fun thing, so.
Thank you for that. All right, next up, we have our legislative update. If Senator Kunesh and Representative Feist would kindly join us at the table, Sadly, Representative Kegels had to send her regrets, so she was not able to be here tonight. And there's a card and some sweet treats there as a token of our gratitude for all of your support. We so much appreciate it, so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I was going to scoot over too.
Thank you.
Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, I have to scoot this.
So
What
go
order
ahead.
should we go in? You should call it us, we won't be too polite
Yeah.
to each other.
Senator Kanesh, would you like to start?
Okay, I will begin. Good evening, everybody, and to the community at large. It's lovely to be here. I'm State Senator Mary Kunesh. I represent this district as well as St. Anthony Village, New Brighton, Columbia Heights, Hilltop, Spring Lake Park, and Fridley. And we just finished our session just a month ago, though it feels like much longer ago. And it was, again, another unique session with just a one-person majority in the Senate and tied in the House, which kind of made some things very, very difficult. But I'm actually proud and a little surprised by some of the things that we were able to do for the state of Minnesota. I have a packet here of everything that we did. And I just would like to go over some of the accomplishments for K-12 education in the state. And there's a couple things that we didn't get passed, and then just some kind of updating activity that got taken care of during this session. So the supplemental omnibus bill for E12 education provides $10 million for compensatory revenue. And I think you were mentioning that we were taking $3 million away from Columbia Heights. But the problem with that we've had over the last couple of years is that there were a lot of money coming in from COVID. And a lot of that money went to special ed and to EL programs, and now that money is not there anymore. There was also the issue of dropping enrollment. We know that across the state, student enrollment families are having smaller families, and that enrollment is dropping. And so the per pupil amount that goes to each school is also dropping. And so what we tried to do for a number of years was to kind of stave off that cliff that school districts would be dropping into. And just so that everybody knows, I am the chair of Education Finance in the Minnesota Senate, so this has kind of been my world for the last 4 years. It's just unsustainable to continue to hold and put out, generate dollars to the districts when their enrollment doesn't match what we had been originally, what we have historically been paying out. So it's not that we're taking away $3 million, we just have to level set all the districts across the state. Fortunately, there are some that are going to suffer more than others, and that weighs very heavy on my heart and my soul. But just know that we are continuing to work on that. So we did provide $10 million for a supplemental compensatory revenue adjustment. This will provide every school site 65.9% of the compensatory revenue that the building generated in fiscal year '26. So that means you'll get at least that 65.9% going forward. And then this proposal also maintains flexibility by allowing the schools to move 40% of the compensatory revenue that they generate between school buildings through fiscal year 2028. So there's ability to move some of those dollars to schools that perhaps need it more, where they hadn't in the past. We also passed an anonymous threat reporting system, and that provides a secure hotline, cell phone app, or website to allow individuals to report public safety and security concerns. Some school districts do not have their own reporting program, and so this would be a way to do that. We appropriated $1 million to DPS for that. for additional staffing, and then another $4 million appropriated to DPS to manage grants to schools to develop and purchase, implement, operate, and maintain local anonymous threat reporting systems. And so those dollars will be available to public schools, to charter schools, tribal contract schools, and non-public schools, which were awarded an amount not to exceed $10,000 per school district and $2,500 per charter school contract, tribal contract school or non-public school. So that was an important one. The superintendent talked a little bit about the Permanent School Fund Constitutional Amendment. That was a bill that I passed personally and is one that I have been dreaming about almost for 10 years now. For those that don't know what the Permanent School Fund is, here in Minnesota, upon statehood, the federal government allocated lands, acres, to the schools, to the public school system. And what they did is they gridded out the state, and this was for any state west of the Mississippi. They gridded out the state, and they looked at every township that had been allocated, and they said on like plot 6 you put a school, on plot 36 you do something to generate funding for public schools. Well, times have changed. A lot of those schools don't exist anymore. 1 acre is not going to do a whole lot to generate funding. But historically, the mining that happened in northern Minnesota and the timber sales, along with different licensing funding, went into a trust fund that created the school trust fund. And it has been growing slowly, but in the last 10 years, it has been doing really, really well, to the point where I think we are at $2.3 billion, I think, is in that fund. And the interesting thing is that we have not touched those dollars other than an annual allocation to our students at 2.5% of interest and dividends. Well, we went in, we had a group last year, we studied this whole situation. We had the State Board of Investment as part of our team, and came up with a recommendation that we open up the Constitution, that we allow for interest, dividends, and capital gains to be generated towards the students, and that we increase that from the 2.5% to 4.5%, which is going to be considerable for some districts. For some districts, it'll be millions of dollars. For some, not so much. But I think it is going to really make a difference in our schools. Let me see what I had. In fiscal year '25, the total distribution was $58 million across the state. So if you figure out at least 40% additional funding, and that goes directly to the schools per pupil, and it is, there's no strings attached. So the school district can decide how to use those dollars in the best way. But the catch is, this is a constitutional amendment, so it will have to go to the people. So this fall, in November, when you go to your ballot, there will be a constitutional question: should we do this? Just remember that this is not going to increase taxes in any way, shape, or form. It does not take a levy. It does not take a referendum. What it does take is for the voters to color in the yes box. And it has to be colored, not just checked, but colored in for sure. Because if it's left blank, it counts as a no. So we're working really hard to put together a committee. Well, we have a committee, but a campaign, a statewide campaign to educate Minnesotans on the history of the school trust funds, how important this is to all the school districts, and then the necessity to vote yes in November. And we will get more of that out. We are meeting weekly, sometimes twice a week, trying to get this together. It's a lot to do in the next 90-some days, but we'll get there. We did pass an anti-grooming bill that will protect school students from being groomed by teachers and other adults in positions of authority. This bill adds a definition of grooming to criminal statute governing solicitation of children and allows the Department of Education to investigate maltreatment and occurrences more than 3 years. Prior to this, there was like a 3-year expiration date. Now they can go back further and find that information. We also are allowing veterans of the Korean and the Vietnam War, those who served our country and never received a diploma. They may go back to their schools and request a diploma, and that would be up to the school district. There are some changes that were made to the READ Act, and that is our evidence-based literacy instruction for all E-12 students. Most of those changes were technical in nature, but were necessary to ensure successful implementation of the act. We passed a law to require professional educators licensing or PELSB board to adopt rules to require teacher candidates in early literacy to undergo student teaching or supervised field experience aligned to evidence-based practices with the READ Act. We allowed flexibility, and I know our school districts are always looking for flexibility. Last thing they like are mandates, but we were able to provide a number of schools, districts, financial flexibility in how they would expend their capital operating revenue on utility services. That was currently, has not been allowed in the past, but with the rising cost of heating and all of that, it was important. More specific fund transfers were allowed for a handful of schools. And then we also, another piece of legislation that I personally passed is the Legislative Budget Office to annually survey school districts and charter schools on what their health insurance costs are. And then we are asking for a report on that data by December 1st of each year. And that survey has to include the total number of employees or retired that are insured or not insured by their health plan, the total dollar amount of the school district and employees paid in premiums, and then accounting of all the forms of compensation to broker or agents offering group health insurance. And we are hoping this will help us understand where those dollars are going and provide a greater transparency on how much school employees, school districts, and taxpayers are paying for health insurance. And then these annual reports will provide greater detail on what school districts and employees are paying and the disparities between the districts based on their size, their region, and other demographic. A couple things that did not pass was the federal H.R. 1 school voucher bill. We were not able, unfortunately, to pass a gun violence prevention bill. Given the horrific deaths of Annunciation students, we were hoping that we would be able to at least do some additional dollars for mental health, school safety, but unfortunately, we could not get GOP members to vote for this bill, and so it did not pass. We also did not pass a civic seal. We did not pass cursive writing requirement, much to Senator Swedzinski. Senator Swedzinski is the chair of Education Finance. He was a civics teacher, policy. I'm finance, he's policy. He was a civics teacher for 30-some years, so between the two of us, we had close to 55 years of experience. He was really hoping for that civic seal. He is a huge proponent of cursive writing, and we did not pass a cell phone ban, but it is still up to the districts to decide how they want to manage the cell phones in the school. So those are some of the updates that I have for you around education. Next year, hopefully, I will be returning to the Senate, and would love to continue to be active as the education chair in one way or the other. It is a finance year next year, so I'm sure there will be lots more to talk about. So even though that was a lot, there usually is a lot more. This was a light year. But thank you to this community. Thank you to the teachers, to the administration, to the parents, to the students that stood up and protected each other and supported each other in unimaginable ways. It makes our community stronger. It makes our community healthier. It makes me so flipping proud when I can talk about these communities and how you all stood up for what was right and for children. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Awesome. Representative Feist.
Thank you. That was the right order to go in, because I'm always like, let's dive deep into the weeds of one little thing. So Sandra Feist, your representative for the end of this term, and then I'll be returning to my private life as an immigration attorney. I just felt like that needed all of me in this moment, but it has been an awesome honor and joy to partner with Mary and to represent this community. And so happy to be here for one last board meeting to share some thoughts. So I'm obsessed with compensatory aid, so warms my heart to have that conversation. This year, 10 million wasn't enough, but it was at least something. I would have loved to do what one person proposed, which was just take, so 2027 compensatory aid total was like 96.184% of the pre-2026. And so there was one proposal to just basically prorate everybody's compensatory aid. So then Columbia Heights would have gotten 96.184% of what they got. But unfortunately, that was like politically hard because that meant there are winners and losers.
Big losers.
Big losers, but also Columbia Heights would have done better. So I was like, let's do it. But anyway, I was glad that we got that 10 million. I had a dream, like right as everything was going down, that I was like telling this one person. Did I tell you this?
No.
Oh my gosh. So like one night I just dreamt that I sat down with this one member of like House staff and I was like, you need to understand 96.184% and all this stuff. And so like the next morning I was like, Chris, I had a dream that I told you this boring stuff. So sit down, I'm going to tell you all this. And so I told him all that and he's like, you need to talk to all these people because like today it's all going down. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And so then I like manically texted and met with like a bunch of other people. And then not that it was like the only, like there was like a lot, but that was like one factor was that I was dreaming about compensatory aid. So anyway, like I'm sad that like when I go back to my private life, like my dreams won't like manifest money. But anyway, I'll still dream, I'll manifest it towards you.
Thank you.
So anyway, so I was just looking at, we created a task force and Zena's on it and that is good and I'm on it. And I was just looking at kind of what we're gonna do by the end of this year when we issue our report and the things that we need to be looking at. And so, looking at, which students generate compensatory aid, why do they generate it, how do they generate it, looking at the best proxies for generating that aid. And, one thing that we've been struggling with and arguing about on the task force is also looking at, is this money doing what we intended for it to do, which is help struggling students? Like, this is not supposed to be just part of the per pupil formula. It's supposed to be generated by and targeted towards specific students. And so one of the feedback that I sent in response to our latest doodle poll thing or whatever, where they said, as we're creating our report, is that I would like to look not just at the compensatory aid formula, but also the bigger education budget. And, what do we need the per pupil formula to be in order for the compensatory piece to be more than just $3 million that Columbia Heights needs to function as a school district? Like, how do we make sure that those compensatory dollars are really being focused in on these students who need extra special assistance? And then how do we know if it's working? And so I know that we've struggled with that question of when there's so many things that factor into what a student is able to achieve, how do we know if these dollars are achieving that? But like Julie was saying, like it's it's like what, $860 million. It's 8.1% of our education budget. It is so much money. And I want to be good stewards of our tax dollars. I want to know that we are investing strategically in students. And, you know, education is rightly, or am I right, that it's our biggest budget? It's like second.
HHS is first.
Oh, well, it should be our biggest. I mean, HHS is one too, I guess. But, you know, it's like the most important investment that we make. And I really hope that this task force can help us ensure that we're continuing to make that investment really strategically and effectively. So anyway, that's where that's at. So at the end of the year is when our report is due, right?
October 1st.
October. Oh my God, it's so soon. And I hope that what I would like to see us do is look at the bigger picture of the education budget, not just keep our realm within the task force. Like if our ultimate takeaway is like the per pupil formula needs to be bigger so that we're not just doing like financial like magic where we're moving this money here and that money there, then I feel like we should say that. And, you know, and I always like, I'm a Democrat, I always think more money is good, but I want to make sure that money is being strategically deployed. So cell phones, you mentioned, just thought I was really proud to work on the bipartisan bill that, or like chief author, the bipartisan bill that mandated that schools think about the impact of cell phones on student mental health, academic achievement, and behavior. The bill to do a full ban was brought to me, and I was asked to carry it. And I was like, you know, when we were doing the focus groups with parents, students, teachers, school administrators, I didn't really hear anybody wanting a ban. And so I was like, I don't feel like I want to be like, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell every school district in Minnesota, no phones. I mean, as a parent, that's like my dream. But it's been really nice to hear that the just asking schools to kind of revisit and think. I know that in my kids are in the Mounds View School District, and it's resulted in different policies and different impacts, and that's been great to see. But I hope that conversation will continue. And on that note, I was the chief author of the Student Data Privacy Act, which passed in 2022. And we recently got an email from a tech person at one of the school districts asking about kind of the scope of the Student Data Privacy Act, and it reminded me how awesome it is. And so I just thought I'd remind you all how awesome it is. And the thing that they were looking at is what access do school districts have to remotely monitor students. And we created some limits on that to make sure that, the famous 1960s case, Tinker v. Des Moines said, you know, kids' constitutional rights don't end at the schoolhouse gate. But I just encourage you to think about the ways in which you want to monitor students and why you want to monitor them. And to the extent that they look at the Student Data Privacy Act again next year, thinking about ways to do that respects students' autonomy and also allows us to achieve goals around security and student well-being. So I think I'll just leave it at that. It's been an honor to partner with you all, to represent you in the House, to work with Mary, and I will be just a member of the public cheering you on. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. I would just like to say, first off, I saw a commercial about the land trust thing, and that it was a constitutional amendment. I saw it a couple days ago.
Okay.
I've seen it a few times. It's on YouTube. So that was pretty awesome. I was like, oh, I know about this. It was like the meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's like, I know that. I know this thing. So thank you. So good work. It's getting out there. And then the student data privacy, you know, to speak to that too, Sandra, our community here has been really on the forefront of talking about everybody's privacy, and the fact that, you know, we were able to, people came together to encourage the city council to cancel their contract with Flock to prevent the license plate readers, which was something I had actually even heard about from staff, had reached out to me here because we had one right outside. And just all of the concerns with that, because they didn't even have two-factor authentication on Flock until last week or just a few weeks ago. So the idea of who is in charge of our data and also what are they doing with it, I think you also bringing that up in terms of how are we protecting the students that we have. And the fact that there was just a rather large data breach relatively recently, just in the last few weeks, and being able to say, nope, we were not part of that. We do not belong to that system. So just, again, thank you so much for your leadership on that, because it is something that is incredibly important to our community, especially right now. So thank you. And thank you so much for all of your leadership. I remember not really even knowing very much about compensatory aid, and you, right from the get-go, that has always been one of your passions, and you know, it's so appreciated. So thank you so much, and we will miss you, and also appreciate your advocacy and going back, especially in this moment. So, and Mary, again, your advocacy and your support, and you were out there with us, helping kids cross the street and make sure that everybody could get to school safely. And when it was absolutely freezing cold outside, and you were out there with us, those things don't go unnoticed. So we know that you have always fought for us, whether it was at the table at the legislature or even literally on the sidewalks helping us. So thank you very much for all of that you have done and accomplished for us over the past few years as well. With that, anybody else? Julie, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions for Senator Kunesh. You mentioned, of course, the land trust, and that you're thinking that we want to get capital gains actually transferred out to the schools as well. So a percentage of capital gains?
Yeah.
Is that right? Capital gains are generally generated by the sale of investments or
Nope.
the growth of investments? Okay, so investments grow and decline in value. So we distribute a percentage out, right? And suddenly that investment drops. Because if it grows, you might have a capital gain, but you might have an operating loss or an unrealized loss. How does that come back then?
That is such an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. When the committee went through and came up with a recommendation of 4.5, that's where they were comfortable increasing it to. They have noticed over the last, I think 10 years, it's averaged out to over 8% increase. And so that 4.5, they felt comfortable using that. But the legislation also recognizes that that's a real possibility. So should there be a decline in those capital gains or any of that, we can, without having to do a constitutional amendment now, we can pull back on those on those percentage. So we can adjust that as the increases or decreases in the interest, capital gains, and dividends. Should those change, we can adjust it, and we are very conscious of that. We want to make sure that we are taking care of these dollars in the best way, because these dollars are also for our future students, and so that is our way of protecting it.
Yeah, I think about that and I go, we hit, if you recall, 2008, 2009, when we had a huge crash.
Yep,
And even property values dropped.
right.
And so if this land trust has assets that are land, and I'm sure we must be going out and valuing that land every, 5, 10 years or whatever that is, and we have a capital gain, and then suddenly we have a crash. My concern is that we would have to give back money, or
Oh.
all of our money gets, what we depend on here at the school district
Yep.
is no longer coming in. So will that be unrestricted money?
That is unrestricted money, and we have set it up so that every 3 years we do a look back. And every 3 years we can make that adjustment unless there is some kind of an emergency. So the fund is not based on the value of land, it's what that land is generating. So like the mining back in the day, of course, we don't have mining like we used to, so we're not getting those kind of dollars. Timber sales was the second biggest generator. We don't we don't harvest timber like we used to, so we're not getting those dollars. But there are some land rentals, there are different licensures for like ATV, snowmobiles, fishing, hunting. Those things go into that. Every now and then, we've been very careful not to sell off that land, but there's a lot of land up in the boundary water that is school trust lands. There's a lot of land on our Indian reservations. And those, our 4 tribal schools have not been receiving any of the school trust dollars, even though those lands, are theirs. And so, right now, there might not be a lot of, generating from those sales or from those licenses, but most of that is coming from the investment of the corpus. Yep.
My other question is the report on the health insurance.
Yeah.
So health insurance here is a great negotiating tool with our teacher union. And I'm concerned that we might be, reporting this information and then the legislature is doing some sort of modeling or averaging across other school districts. And we might lose our negotiating power because not everybody needs the dollar. They might need health insurance or
Right.
something like that. So
Right.
just kind of curious as how that's going to be used again?
Sure.
Would you explain?
So this report is to help us at the legislature understand better how the tax dollars that we allocate to the districts are being used to provide health insurance to all the students, all the employees, teachers, hourly workers, all of those sort of thing. There is, we would like to take that report and also possibly, as you mentioned, model a statewide health insurance plan for school workers. So that's another thing. It's called EGIP, and that is something that we are, some folks are very, very interested in doing a statewide so that there aren't districts that are like paying through the nose or have all these middlemen that are taking a lot of the dollars that should, not be being taken. And so it's a way of basically equalizing and hopefully reducing the cost to school districts and to the employees for their health insurance.
We get a lot of emails about the EGIP.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
No, I was just going to mention, you mentioned that we're doing a look back for 3 years, so it shouldn't be like this with the land trust, because I paid very close attention to like the 3 seminars I went to because it's very complicated. So yes, thank you for doing the work on that and being able to, and from what I understand, even in the past, even though we were getting that money from the land trust, that it was just being taken off of the money that the state was giving us anyway. So we weren't actually getting it. It was just offsetting it. So,
Yes.
So I'm very, very grateful for past legislatures as well for being able to at least, in the spirit of what it was supposed to be for, actually, like finally fulfilling their promise with that. So
You were right. When Governor Pawlenty was the governor, those dollars that were allocated from the fund were deducted from the amount that would then go to the districts. And then, once there was a different party in control, we removed that stipulation and made sure that went forward the way it was supposed to go. Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time.
You bet.
And again, for your advocacy, we appreciate you. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you would like. But we will not hold it against you if you take off.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you all
Yes.
very, very much for all the work that you do and your volunteerism to make sure that our students are receiving the resources they need.
Thank you. Have a good
are those
night.
cookies what I think they are? They are.
They are cookies.
Are they?
They're Susie Beshio cookies.
Huh?
There's,
They say.
Oh, should we take some pictures actually before you go?
Consider it a bribe.
Want the full board? Full board? Would you like a full board?
I think, let's throw over by, if you all would like to, if the rest of the board would like to join us.
I'm not in picture clothes. I went super casual. I had to come straight from work and I didn't think I was going.
How about under our mission?
Those were to go, Kristen.
Let's see, maybe we have like two legislators in the center.
Am I in the center? I'm so sorry.
Go in the middle. Hey, that's great. And then if we can kind of chunk together, I think that's great.
Okay, just together. That's
Okay, that looks lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
See you around, I'm sure. You're not getting rid of us.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. We very much appreciate you. Okay. All right, next up we have the READ Act memorandum with Director Tuckrell and joined by,
Coordinator Gardner.
thank you, Coordinator Gardner. I was like, I don't know what, thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Granlund, members of the board, Superintendent Stenvik. I'm here tonight to share about the updated READ Act MOU for the 2026-2027 school year. This is similar to the previous READ Act, which we had this school year for the 2025-2026 school year. The only change is that the new program or the new professional development for secondary teachers is OLA Secondary. So otherwise, everything else is the same in the READ Act. We consulted with both the department chairs at the high school and at the middle school who worked with their teams to ask if there was any change that they wanted, and no change was recommended. And then we shared it with Local 710 who also approved it. So it will be returning in the consent agenda on June 30th.
All right, thank you so much. Board members and maybe folks at home who get this, it looks like there is a resolution in our board book. It is not. I'm not reading it. I don't need to read it, thankfully. So thank you so much for that update. Are there any questions from the board?
Can I ask just
Yep,
a
go ahead,
clarification?
Superintendent Stenvik.
Just to clarify, the MOU allows flexibility for teachers to select if they would like to, and I know that this was a request from many of the teachers, that they wanted the opportunity to complete the training over the summer months and not during the school year. And that's, we've worked with the union over the years, over the READ Act years, to determine that type of flexibility. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Last school year, the teachers had requested, the ones that were in phase 1, cohort 2 of READ Act professional development, they requested to be able to do it during the summer or during breaks or other times during the year. So the MOU provides that flexibility where they will be compensated for the time they take to complete the course. And so this cohort, which is our phase 2 cohort, also suggested they wanted the same thing. So it is supposed to be opening up today. We're working with CORE to make sure all the details are figured out. But by the end of this week, everything should be up and going that the teachers can start it.
Wonderful. Julie, go ahead.
So you said that they get compensated for taking the course. I'm assuming that's restricted certain number of hours, right? I mean, we can't just take forever to take it.
Thank you for that. A few years ago, when we first started READ Act training, we received funding to support READ Act professional development. Within the district, districts worked with the school board as well as with the local 710 to determine what that looks like, and we were provided with guidelines to support that came from the companies about how long it takes. So they gave us a maximum number of hours, so that's the number of hours that are within that.
Great question. Any other questions? All right, if there's no other questions, again, will be in the consent agenda at our next meeting on the 30th of June.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But wait, there's more. Next up, we have a curriculum update with Director Tuckrill and Coordinator Gardner.
Okay. We're going to get the Zoom going here. Okay. Good evening, Chair Granlund, members of the board, Superintendent Stenvik. We are here this evening with a health curriculum update. Our mission in Columbia Heights Public Schools, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner, all belong, all succeed. And our information tonight aligns with all of the core values, which are also in alignment with the CHPS Board of Education Equity Statement. And with Vision 2030, specifically around academic instruction and staff providing culturally responsive instruction that meets the unique needs of each student using approved curriculum. Just checking that we can see actually what is on the screen. So our curriculum development process always starts with talking to teachers. So finding out what their current needs are with their curriculum, what gaps they might be experiencing with their current curriculum, what they like about their current curriculum. From there, moving to leadership teams, principals, and the teaching and learning team, administrative team, our CACR leadership team, Superintendent Stenvik, and then finally to the school board. We have a curriculum review cycle that is updated every 10 years. As we know, legislative updates, standards updates, requirements often change what that curriculum review cycle is. So our health curriculum has not been reviewed in quite a while. Our health teachers were currently using the 2009 copyright of our current curricular resource. So we were due for an update of our health curriculum. But this is our intended curriculum review cycle that, as we know, changes. So our review process began last fall. We met several times with our Columbia Academy and Columbia Heights High School health teachers to review their curriculum. Currently, what the gaps were, what their needs were. We also met with a representative of Anoka County Public Health about curriculum development that we'll also be sharing about. Throughout the winter, we gathered input from the Columbia Academy and Columbia Heights High School health teachers. There were 3 different curricular options that we looked at, so they had a chance to look through all of those and provided their input on what our selection criteria should be. We met with representatives from those programs and reviewed materials. And as I mentioned, the teachers had the opportunity to review materials as well and provide additional input. And then in May, we brought that information to CACR, to our Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness team, where they had an opportunity to review the curriculum, provide input, and make a recommendation to bring it forward to you all tonight. So the curriculum that we are recommending is Health Smart. The feedback that we got from the teachers throughout that review process is that the curriculum is correlated to national standards, and then there are supplemental Minnesota-specific lessons and development. So Minnesota currently does not have their own health standards. It's been local decision, and most districts have followed the national health standards. There are Minnesota standards that are in rulemaking currently. The anchor standards are the same as the national health standards. So Health Smart, if there are Minnesota-specific lessons needed to fulfill the Minnesota benchmarks that eventually become our standards, Health Smart will be creating those. There are, again, the anchor standards are the same as the national standards. There are some additional benchmarks, for example, around vaping, mental health, CPR, media literacy, that may need some additional lessons, and Health Smart will provide those. There are 6 subject areas that cover priority topics, the priority topics that our health teachers identified. So those topics are emotional and mental health, nutrition and physical activity, tobacco, alcohol, and other drug prevention, violence and injury prevention, abstinence, puberty, and sexual health, so that's the middle school. And then at the high school, abstinence, personal and sexual health, and then HIV, STI, and pregnancy prevention. They really liked that the curriculum addresses skills for health literacy, so it's not just focused on content knowledge and learning facts. There are opportunities for students to practice skills like analyzing influences, accessing reliable resources, interpersonal communication, decision-making, goal-setting, health practices and behaviors, and advocacy. This was a big one. The teachers love that the materials for students and families are available in English and Spanish. All of the materials are available in English and Spanish. That the lessons can be taught in the amount of time available. So for the high school, that's 1 semester, usually in 10th grade. For the middle school, it's 1 trimester, or will be 1 trimester with the new schedule next year for 7th graders and 8th graders. And it's also a continuation of the curriculum that's used by our elementary teachers. So our elementary schools also use HealthSmart. For us, this was a big benefit. So the cost is just the teacher edition. So there's a print edition and a digital edition, and the digital edition then gives access to all of the worksheets that can be either printed or posted on Schoology or the learning management system that teachers use. So the print edition is $68.75 per teacher, which would be a one-time cost, and then the digital edition is $68.75 per year. And then I mentioned our work with Anoka County. So there is also a Minnesota state statute that in the next school year, districts must implement comprehensive education on cannabis use and substance use. These topics are covered within that HealthSmart curriculum, but there are also supplemental lessons that are being provided by Anoka County through Anoka County Public Health and Environmental Services. They have worked with the Stanford Medicine's REACH Lab to adapt their curriculum, and they are providing all of that curricular content materials and training for teachers free of charge to districts in Anoka County. So it's 10 supplemental high school lessons and 3 supplemental middle school lessons. So we've met several times with Anoka County about accessing that curriculum as well and the training that they are providing for teachers. So our next steps, if approved, would be to purchase curricular materials, provide professional development later this summer and in the fall for our health teachers, and then work with those teachers, peer coaches, and principals to support standards alignment and implementation. Tonight we're here as an informational item. On June 30th, we will return to seek approval of 612 HealthSmart curriculum.
Wonderful, thank you. Questions? Julie.
So we have a group that reviews curriculum that includes parents and other community members, correct? Did that include to ensure that we covered all cultural bases of those backgrounds of our students? Obviously, half of our kids are Latino or Hispanic. We have Muslim children as well from a religious standpoint. How did they respond to this? First of all, how many were of those cultures? Because we generally see very conservative values in those cultures. How did they accept this HealthSmart curriculum?
Good question. Unfortunately, since Metro Surge, our CACR committee has gone down quite a bit. And so we haven't had the opportunity to have as much input as we want from some of our families. Fortunately, when we have new curriculum or when we have those pieces, we present it in the fall to our families. And if they have any concerns about any parts of it, we provide an alternative, just like in any other subject. So if they had any concerns, and we've had it in the past, and we've had conversations that it might not align with the way they would like to teach in their house, we have alternatives to support. So we would do the same thing with this curriculum as well. We would provide a comprehensive opportunity for our families to look at it, and the syllabus will have that information as well to provide them that opportunity.
And then to add to that, so the curriculum is aligned to national health standards, and there's actually an anchor standard around analyzing influences, which includes prompting students to identify and evaluate how their own family's values, culture, and beliefs shape their personal health choices. So woven throughout lessons, there are prompts of, think about your own family. There are family letters and the homework prompts discussion at home, so really tries to bring families into the health conversation.
So the health materials aren't pushing in a certain type of lifestyle or, this is how it should be done. It's more preventive and health-oriented versus something that's a little more radical is what we would say. We want to make sure our families are safe, our children are safe, and health is important, so.
I think one thing when Coordinator Gartner shared with me and we were digging into it was the importance in this one compared to past ones that it gives facts, But then it talks about decision making. At the end of the day, it's up to an individual to look at all the facts and make a decision. And so this one really focuses in on that, which is definitely a positive for all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Michelle?
You provided information earlier that was over here with our agendas. Would it be possible to get those in our packet? Because they were kind of limited
Yes.
tonight, but I think everybody would
Yes.
probably like to see those. The packets, these are actually, I mean, I just found them easy online. If you just Google the Health Smart, and it'll show you like the different, they even have K through 5.
We currently have K through 5.
Oh,
We implement K
yeah,
through
yeah.
5,
Oh,
yes.
I was like, whoa, okay.
So that's our current curriculum in K through 5.
Oh, gotcha, okay,
Yes.
yeah, but, I think this is great, I mean, at some point, right, certain conversations have to be had surrounding health and all health, right, and I like that it's covering all of the bases, but, appropriately, age appropriate, so, yeah, from what I hear and see, I really do appreciate the research to look into somewhere that is healthy for our students to participate in and learn and grow together and with their families. Thank you.
Jessica?
Thank you for the presentation. When I was reviewing the presentation prior to this meeting, my main question was sort of around the intersection between the pending state standards and our curriculum review cycle and the timing of implementing the Health Smart curriculum. And I know you had mentioned that if and when the state standards are adopted, that there'll be, if there's Minnesota-specific pieces, that will be incorporated by Health Smart into the curriculum. I'm just wondering if you can expand on that a little bit. I'm trying, because like thinking about the curriculum options that were looked at and reviewed, and knowing, like, the rulemaking's already happening, so we know what's likely to come down the pike for state standards. And so just trying to understand how much of the pending state standards we expect to already be incorporated in the version we would be looking at next year. There's a question in there
So
somewhere.
the pending Minnesota state standards are very similar to the national standards. The anchor standards are all the same. So where there is some variation is the Minnesota-specific benchmarks that have some additional content that's not in the state standards. So I mentioned like mental health, vaping, CPR, media literacy, and we can also include that in the information we share, is like what exactly is different about the proposed standards, but they're very, very similar.
And so the proposed standards would be implemented by the state in 28, 29?
I'll have to check, I think it may be 27,
It
28.
varies all the time.
Okay.
As it's going through rulemaking, sometimes it stays there for a while, and then they push the implementation a few years past that to give districts an opportunity for professional development.
Okay. So the primary reason that we'd be moving towards approving new curriculum now is really just about like length of time, right? That it's a 10-year cycle, we're well beyond the 10 years. We're not wanting to wait
Yes.
for the state standards to be implemented, even though they're
Yeah.
like
And
almost there.
in meeting with the teachers, the curriculum they have currently is a textbook. It's very text-based, textbook-based, not always, it's not inaccurate information, but like social media looked completely different in 2009 than it does today. So it doesn't have the full scope of what they hope to teach in their health curriculum. And it's not also always very accessible or interesting for our students. So I would say those are the big motivators, is we need something more updated, and the standards we don't anticipate to be very different than the national standards that this curriculum is built around.
I mean, just for context, our seniors that just graduated were 2 years old when the last time this was visited. So, and even some of the language that we use, STI is newer versus STD, which it was, and so lots of changes. I just wanted to put that in perspective because I've been sitting here like doing that math in my head this whole time going, that is a very long time.
I don't think any of us were even on the board here at that time either, so I wasn't here.
You weren't on the board then?
I wasn't here, no.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Well, it's time, guys.
It's very much time.
My hair was brown then.
Sorry, Jessica.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't have any other questions. I just wanted to make sure that, if this is approved, that we're not going to be a place of like upheaval again in 3 years, 4 years, whatever that might look like. And I guess I did just have one more piece I was just hoping to confirm. So we mentioned the cannabis education that's required by statute. And so even though Minnesota doesn't have currently health standards, there are like standalone requirements in statute, like cannabis.
Yes.
But I know that there is at least, there might be more. I know of at least one other, right, around the, is it the HIV, STI, and pregnancy prevention piece that's in state statute? And so just wanted to confirm, and I see that on the slide, that that's also encompassed in the Health Smart curriculum. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Great questions. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you so much for this, and we will be voting on it at our next full meeting on the 30th of June. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Director Hennekins coming to talk to us about the district radon testing. Director Hennekins, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Granlund, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenvik. Give me a second here to get the one of many presentations this evening.
Thank you both.
Not a real exciting topic, Ryan.
It can be, but not really. Okay, thank you. So the first presentation, district radon testing. So, well, let me just start with this. Our mission, Columbia Heights Public Schools, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed, and our core values of community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation, all aligning with a Board of Education equity statement. So, radon in the schools. Well, this evening, this is not a governance. We're not required, the board's not required to act on this, but the district administration is required to present this information to the school board when we do radon testing. So, in Minnesota, we have statute that if we receive health and safety dollars, we have to do radon testing. We do radon testing at each facility every 5 years. Currently, we do 2 buildings together, which is the high school in North Park, because we had additions added on at the same time at those 2 facilities. So when we add an addition, we have to do testing again. And so we did that testing, so it's the high school in North Park that are part of this. And in a couple of years, we'll come back with the other 3 buildings. But so every 5 years we do this. We do short-term testing. So they're testing apparatuses that we put in a space over a period of time, over a couple days. And what it's doing is it's measuring in our occupied spaces, and it's measuring the peak amount of radon received, or pictocuries per liter of radon. So it's measuring that peak amount. And the recommended action level is 4 pictocuries per liter. So anything above that 4.0 in a occupied space that we test, then we have to do an additional testing. So it's like an hourly testing. So and I'll get to that. But so we're testing all the spaces at grade. So it could be basement, it could be first level, anything that has ground below it. So we're not testing the second level, but anything on grade. And the test results are presented, as I said, here, and then we make the test results available to staff and community. We post them on the website, within health and safety. So again, we do short-term testing. We had 194 short-term radon tests that were installed. We do this testing in the winter months, so between December 2nd and basically the end of March is when we do it. So we did it in 2 different blocks. One at one building, one at another. And so we had 137 detectors at the high school, 57 detectors at North Park. Of those 194 detectors, we had 3 occupiable spaces that peaked above 4 pictocuries. per liter. So we had 2 at the high school, 4.1, 4.3, and then 1 at North Park at 5. So now we move into the next phase of continuous monitoring. So in a school, in most organizations, HVAC systems shut down at night. So there's no air movement whatsoever. You know, we're required to provide fresh air to a space and circulate air. So typically what we'll see in those scenarios is during the day, it goes down to practically 0 or 0. And once they shut off at night, then they start to climb. And then it's when they hit that peak moment of over 4 that we have to, you know, do this average testing, because it's the average of 4.0 or higher is where mitigation is necessary. So after we did the continuous radon monitoring, so it's a minimum of 48 hours, so we keep those monitors in there for 48 hours. They're doing a test every hour of what the radon level is over that period. And so after we do that, the average levels of radon were well below the 4.0 pictocuries, so there's no remediation necessary for any of our occupiable spaces at the high school and North Park. So at this time, there's nothing additional that we need to do for these 2 facilities. And then, you know, again, in a couple years, we'll come back with Columbia Academy, Valley View, and Highland. They're on the same cycle. So any questions? Figured there would be.
Pretty sure we all have the same question.
Michelle, go ahead.
What happened? Like, what would have made it peak like that and then disappear once tested over?
So, I mean, it occurs naturally in the ground. We have pockets in Minnesota, and the remediation, or how we mitigate, I should say, it is we're moving air. We're circulating the air out. And so during the day, like I said, our HVAC units are running, we're circulating air, and so we're providing in air, and so it just mitigates those levels to practically nothing, because we're pumping in all that fresh air. But at night, when it shuts down, again, it just comes up through the ground, and so then those levels can go up. You know, why it happens exactly, why it happens here, and like, it doesn't happen here in this room, but why it happens right here in the corner of this room versus not the corner of that room, no idea, because it's just coming up from the earth. But it's there. And so we have to test for it, and because it's a hazard, and we have to account for it. So if mitigation was necessary, based on the levels after we did the continuous testing, then we look at our HVAC unit and we, you know, say, okay, in this space or these spaces, now we're gonna run them continuously, so that we're constantly providing air. Or if we expand that, how do we keep that number below 4, which is that recommended number to stay below? And we've never been able not to manage that if we've had spaces that are high by mitigating, running the HVAC basically longer. So
It just seems like conflicting results, and we only believe the good ones. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess I still feel like maybe it's unsafe, I guess. So at some time, it is unsafe, and then other times it's not.
It's all
It's like I
about,
get
it's
it,
all
but I'm
about
still-
whether we're here or we're not here.
Right, right.
And it's about being below that 4.0. And
Right.
so they've said anything below 4.0 is safe.
Right.
And so that's our number, that's our mark.
So we just run HVAC a little earlier in the day?
If we needed to mitigate it, but what those 3 spaces were is they were peaking in the middle of the night, basically, you know, 3, 4 in the morning, they're peaking, there's no one here.
Right.
And HVAC kicks on in the morning, but during
Oh, I
our
gotcha.
occupiable time, that average is well below 4, so it's safe. So,
I got you. Thanks.
but it's also obviously important for us to do this
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah, for
ensure
sure.
that. This is why we talk about occupiable spaces, storage closets versus classrooms versus, you know, I mean, the spaces where people, you know, office and teach and learn, you know, those are the ones that we focus on, and that's where we're, you know, again, testing.
Thanks.
For sure. Jessica?
Oh, I just thought it would be helpful to better understand the difference between the short-term monitoring and the continuous monitoring, to Michelle's point, but I think that your explanation was helpful. I do have questions, but I think Julie had maybe a question before me.
I actually had the same
Oh, okay.
question as Michelle.
Yeah, I could, yeah. So then, go ahead, Jessica.
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to, I guess, just expand on something you said about radon testing being important, and then also just confirm something. So it is something important, it's something good for us to look at with safety in mind, looking in terms of our maintenance plan for all of our buildings. My understanding, though, is that under statute, it's also voluntary for us to do that. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I think that's important for our school community to know that we are incorporating radon testing into our regular, maintenance and safety plans, even though that is something that is voluntary for the district. I do have just a couple questions because I'm trying to better understand the testing process myself. What considerations sort of lead us to choose the short-term testing versus the long-term testing for our buildings?
Well, the short-term testing is just the standard testing that is done for radon in schools. I mean, it's in a similar fashion to what you get for radon testing in your house for the most part. And if you were to have high radon in your house, then you could go to the continuous monitoring method, and you have to have some kind of mitigation for your house and your basement if you're going to occupy that space, which, there's houses all over in Minnesota that do. But it's the most effective way, most efficient way, cost-effective way to test a space. It's very accurate, but it is measuring the peak. And so if you don't have a peak higher than 4, meaning in the middle of the night when there's no airflow into the room, it's still not peaking above an unsafe level, then there's no additional work that needs to be done, because the continuous monitoring is more costly. I mean, the monitors themselves are more costly, and it's monitoring every hour. Now think of 194 of those distributed throughout the schools, and the impact to the classroom versus this tiny little, tube that's in the classroom. So it's definitely a more difficult thing to do on a scale, so that you focus on the short term. It's the quick and easy, accurate monitor of what's going on, and then you take those results and go to the difficult spaces or the spaces that test high, and then you take that next step. So, 193 rooms versus 194 is significantly easier to manage.
Sure. So on the slide where it talks about short-term testing being chosen versus long-term testing being chosen, the long-term testing is referring to continuous
Yeah.
monitoring? Okay, thank you. And then I know you talked about sort of the cycle of doing this testing in our other buildings. What's the cadence or the planned cadence for that? Did you say 3
I
to
believe
5
that
years?
the other 3 buildings are due 2 years from now. So I think it's fiscal year '28 we'll do that testing for the other 2 buildings. So the winter of that year is when we'll do the other 3 buildings. They used to be on the same cycle. They were for years, because we've been actually doing radon testing for a long time. But when we did the additions to the band room at the high school and then the classroom addition and the cafeteria at North Park, it requires us, if we're receiving health and safety dollars, to retest those facilities. So we did. And so now, they're on their 5-year cycle. That's different than the other ones.
Okay, but it's a 5-year cycle?
It's 5-year.
facilities. Okay.
Yep.
And then you mentioned mitigation that we would do with HVAC. Have we had to do remediation for radon and?
We have in the past, in certain spaces in the district, and we've been able to manage that fairly easily through HVAC system scheduling. So the last time that we had it, 8 years ago maybe, and then when we did the retesting, we didn't have high. So the process of changing scheduling in HVAC and air circulation works. So that's how we mitigate that air in the space.
Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Wonderful. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for that presentation. Appreciate it. let's move straight on into the operating levy with you again, Director Hennekins.
Thank you, Chair Granlund, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. All right, so this informational presentation is on a potential November 2026 operating levy question. Much of this information that I'm presenting is going to be just a repeat, but I want to make sure I'm kind of going through what led us into this conversation and end with what we have is which is attached in the memo of the beginning of the resolution and the draft ballot question would be. But first, start with our mission. Columbia Heights Public Schools, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. And of course, our core values of community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation, aligning with the CHPS Board of Education Equity Statement. So this is a governance conversation, of course. Throughout, as I mentioned, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about the funding. Compensatory funding came up earlier. So May 19th and June 16th, the board was presented with information on the results of the community survey and the possibility of possible operating levy and what that would look like. So there was a lot of discussion there. Or this evening is June 16th, but May 19th at the work session, that's where we really covered that, and now we're reviewing it. Thank you. Sorry. June 30th, the board will be asked to take action. So that's our last meeting of this fiscal year. As far as timelines go and what we need to do to get to November ballot question, we need this time to accomplish that. So the 30th, we'll be bringing this to the board as an action item. Compensatory obviously is the biggest piece of this conversation in funding, considering that we have $2.997 million less in revenue next year from compensatory. The $10 million that was discussed earlier did give the district an additional $653,000. So yes, I am thankful it is not 3.6 million, but it is still almost 3 million. So that is the foundation of this conversation. And that per pupil is a loss of $876 roughly per pupil for our district. And again, I include those other districts on there because their dollar amounts, were significant as well, but obviously our size is significantly different than theirs, and their per pupil, ours is the most by far. So this slide in some form has been shown before, and it was discussed when we were talking about the cuts in the district as we were heading into staffing for this year. It was the one challenging thing is presenting a budget for fiscal year 26 that's a very positive budget, knowing but what's going to happen is the compensatory loss, that future special education conversation in the 250 million or 300 million, potentially that's going to be lost there in fiscal year 28 and fiscal year 29. So we are in a good position coming out of this year, but we're heading into some really challenging times from a budget perspective, considering our revenues. We don't ever want to see the revenues going down. We want to see them going up because expenses keep going up, right? So our projected revenue is going down by about $2.2 million for next year from this year. We have a projected enrollment from our 26 projected enrollment to our 27 projected enrollment. It's about 141 students less, or ADMs less. And so, given this information, compensatory and then student enrollment, and we took a strategic position of finding $1 million in staffing cuts for fiscal year 27. That's what that looked like for us. 11 licensed FTE, 2 non-licensed FTE, and 2 district center staff. So, given that potential compensatory loss, we'd already started the conversation and we'd already been working through a community survey so that we understood where we stood with the community and where the community's tolerance would be from a tax conversation, or from a voter-approved levy, or tax impact. And so on the 19th, again, that's when the board was presented with this information, and there was a lot of discussion about the results of that survey. And then again, in June now is when we're making the decision on what's gonna happen. Again, that survey included 400 registered voters. It was between April 20th and April 28th. There's 20 questions, and the approximate margin error was a plus 4.8%. And we had a strong initial support for this conversation within the community, which is very positive. And then the informed support, after we provided more information, grew by above that margin of plus or minus 4.8%. And then we want to look back in historic, and where our other levies have gone, in the most recent in 2023, after the informed support was 59.6%. So our support now is better than it was in 2023, which is very positive. And then the responses within the survey indicated, and there was a lot of discussion this back in May, that between $150 and $185 per year for an average homeowner would be feasible. And this, what does that mean? The 150. So we work with Ellers, as our financial advisor, in these cases. So I'll start with the blue down here, and we'll work our way up to the top, even though we like to talk about the top right away. So our average home value is roughly $275,000 in the community. So we're looking at, again, we talked about that 150 to 185. And so we looked at 150, 160, and $170, all within that window. And what does that look like? So then we go up to this top. What's that change per pupil, and what's the total potential revenue for the district? Again, that's considering a snapshot in time of what our ADM will be, that per pupil amount. So those were numbers that I provided with the revised budget, numbers that I used to Ellers to use. So I think it's a pretty fair number, but we don't know what's going to happen next year yet, exactly. So this gives us that total potential revenue increase for 150, about, just under 1.8 million, 160, 1.9 million, and 170, 2 million. So that's the difference per pupil, 488, 518, and 550. So this what does that mean? What does that $160 mean per household per year on average? It means 1.9 million potential additional in revenue. Sorry, I couldn't read the whole question up there above. It's covered by something, but.
We can see it. So, yeah.
But you have it in front of you.
Yeah.
And I just want to also remind here the tax impact in comparable districts. So what's Columbia Heights voter-approved tax impact to the residents of Columbia Heights per household on an average of 275,000 household versus districts surrounding us, around us. And so obviously you can see here we're at the lowest, for Lee being the highest in this comparison. So again, what does that mean if, we're increasing by 150, 160, 170, whatever, that just adds to that dollar amount. That puts us into the St. Louis Park and Richfield realm. Again, that's a snapshot in time. If they've approved something additional, they'll just move up. But it still, keeps us in the bottom part of that graph. So we're still staying on the lower end of that tax impact to the community. And I showed this, it's really busy and it's hard to see, but here's Columbia Heights down here. So you can see from all the metro schools, we are and continue to be on the lower end of what our, overall per pupil ask is to the community. And a lot of these we, obviously don't compare to. We don't compare ourselves to Wayzata and Eden Prairie, we just don't compare ourselves to them. But Hopkins.
Yeah, they're off the chart.
Yeah, they're off the chart at the top, sorry. Which it can't be seen right now. But I just wanted to show that again. Again, the sample ballot question, which was attached to the cover sheet for this, which we've already received from our legal counsel that we work with on this. The Independent School District Number 13, Columbia Heights Public Schools, Minnesota, has proposed an increase the school district's referendum revenue by, again, this is a decision that, that we have to make per pupil, subject to an annual increase at a rate of inflation. Proposed new referendum revenue authorization would be first levied in 2026 for taxes payable in 2027, which means we receive it in fiscal year 28, and is applicable for 10 years unless otherwise revoked or reduced as provided by law. So we're leaving our existing operating levy in place, and we're asking for, this is asking for a new operating levy and for a 10-year period with an annual increase of rate of inflation like our existing one has. So again, just as a review, we've been providing information to the board along the way. The board was presented with the results of the community survey on May 19th. We're discussing it tonight as an information item on camera. And then June 30th, we'll be asking the board as an action item. At that point, we'll have the full resolution to the board prior to this with the, hopefully, through discussion, the exact dollar amount that we'll be looking at. That's what I have.
Thank you so much for that. Questions?
I just have a basic question. So are we going to discuss the amount at our work session next week? Is that going to be on the agenda then?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
very much so, yes.
I want to
That
make
was-
sure that.
Yep.
I was
Yep,
really
thank you.
trying to do some math over here.
Yep.
I was
we
like,
can't
minus
discuss
this,
it here.
plus this.
So when this was discussed at the May 19th meeting, one of the things that we talked about was bringing it forward to this meeting specifically so that we could then have another work session because, Michelle, you were not here. And so just for clarity for everybody who's watching at home and also to clarify, yes, for sure, we are talking about it at our work session next week. And that is when we're hoping to, have it all discussed so we can make a final decision on the 30th of June. Because it is time sensitive, we have to make a decision. If we decide to put this on the ballot, it has to be done by the end of June. So that is really the last chance that we have to do that. Great question. Go ahead.
The only other thing I want to make sure that people understand is that we have this discussion, but we're not going to, even if we go for the max, which our community can only handle so much, even if we go that to the highest number, we're not going to make up that $3 million.
No, correct.
And I want people to understand that. We want to, we're certainly being careful on how much people can absorb, taxpayers can absorb, but we also realize that we're going to be short. So there will be probably more cuts coming.
Unless other things change, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point. And I think that's, and another reason why I think we talked about pulling this forward too, is because there were very many years in Columbia Heights proper that taxes stayed the same and nothing got, we did not invest in infrastructure. And so then as things got older and needed to be addressed, suddenly people's taxes went up significantly because they were not going up incrementally as our neighboring cities had done. And so same with our school district in a lot of ways. We also did not incrementally move up, which in some ways has put us in this position now. And I think this board is really thoughtful and things that we've talked about when it comes up, what do we do? Do we do a referendum? Do we do a levy? These sorts of things. It's because we're trying to not only make up this difference, but also make sure that future boards and community, as it grows, does not have to also continually catch up from this. So it is a good point to make. Yeah. Questions? Go ahead, Jessica.
I don't have a question, but maybe this is one of many opportunities to soapbox, so I'm gonna
No,
take
go for it. I
advantage
just
of
did.
I really appreciate the comments of both Julie and Mary on this topic. I think it is a really delicate balance that we're looking at, and we have had a lot of thoughtful conversation about where we find ourselves and what that means in terms of impacts on our kids and our staff and our district as a whole. And so I know we're going to have more discussion about this at the work session, make a final decision, at the last meeting of the month. But I did want to just take the opportunity to just remind everybody about where we are and where we find ourselves. I think part of the balance that Julie talked about is that really financing this district, funding our schools, is a partnership between the state and our local community and our taxpayers. And that partnership then, the money that comes from that is then managed by this board, right? And by the leadership on Superintendent Stenvik's team. And I really appreciate Dr. Henneken's slide. I don't know if you can bring that up again. I know you just closed your presentation, but the flow chart, because I think that illustrates really well the partnership that we have in funding our schools and what happens when the parameters of that partnership change over time.
Wrong one, sorry.
So I'll wait a moment because I think it is a really good illustration of where we find ourselves. So on the left-hand side, when we talk about the projected unassigned fund balance going up, right? That's about financial management. That's about decisions that are made through governance by this board to decide how we're going to manage the funds. We have done a lot of work and made a lot of sometimes really tough decisions in the face of having to negotiate contracts with our staff to build that fund balance, to be good stewards of the dollars that we have, to fund the needs that we have for the district, and to look ahead, knowing that we have to weather sometimes some very, very difficult times. We then go to our community because we knew we hadn't, as Chair Granlund said, we had not gone to our community to ask to fund our schools the way that the districts around us are funded, that all of our kids deserve to be funded. We hadn't asked that in years and years and years and years. But you know what we did ask? We did ask our families and our students and our staff to bear years and years and years of cuts. You all know this, and I've talked about this in our work sessions, but I have 3 kids. My oldest kid is 14. My youngest kid is 3. We have been enrolled in this district since my 14-year-old was in pre-K. And I have, as a parent, before I was on this board, witnessed year after year after year of cuts, not reallocation, which is the job of financial management of this district, not reallocating dollars where they belong, right? Taking away programs that don't make sense, reinvesting in new things, but actual cuts to programs, to services, to staff, right? Resulting in larger class sizes, resulting in fewer programs and opportunities than kids, again, in the surrounding districts have. So we go to our community and we say, we can't continue to sustain these years and years of cuts. And our community is supportive because they care about our kids, they care about our schools, and they understand that having strong public schools means that our whole city, all of our cities, Hilltop, Southern Fridley, Columbia Heights, it makes us all stronger, right? And our community stands up and said, yes, we're gonna vote for this. We're gonna vote to raise our taxes because these things are important and our kids deserve all of these opportunities, right? Equitable opportunities. And as a result of that, since that passed in my time on the board, and my time as a parent, I have gotten to see years of strategic reallocation, but not cuts. Not cuts to the programs and the services that keep this district running, right? So that's the partnership between this board and our community. And then I look at the next part of this chart. And that's representing state partnership, right? And I think it's really interesting that the timing of this, that we're having this discussion at the same time that we have our legislative update, right? Because we've heard about some of these funding issues at the macro level, because that's their job. Their job is to look at the legislature, at all of these funding things at the macro level. And you can talk about, right-sizing education funding. You can talk about needing to look at the K-12 education budget as a whole, both of which I think are very important systemic macro issues. But we have immediate impact on our community here. Our kids are here now. My 3-year-old is going to be entering 3K next year, which I'm very excited about to have him in the 3K program. But I don't want for my 3-year-old, and the parents of this district don't want for their 3-year-olds, their babies, their kindergartners, their 3rd graders, they don't want to see what the rest of us have witnessed with our older children of years and years and years of cuts. To the point that what is there left to cut at a certain point? Right? This is immediate. And this is not something foreseeable based on the financial management of our board or our staff. This is not something foreseeable based on the support or lack of support for our community. Because if we pass the levy, we're going back to our community, back to our taxpayers, and asking them to support us more. And it hasn't been 17 years. Right? So they're going to ask that question. Why are we back here? Why are we asking again? And I want to be very clear that if we are voting to approve a ballot question on the levy to our community, that it's about this partnership. It's about what Julie said, that even if we are able to approve, successfully pass a levy in the best interest of our district and our kids, that we're not going to make up this difference. And what's not on this slide is what's happening in fiscal year 2028, 29, 30, where it's not going to be a $2 million one-time loss. It's going to be $4 million plus perpetually, right? And I don't believe, unfortunately, that there's some 21st century version of the Minnesota Miracle that's coming down the pike in terms of state partnership. So this is the reality in which we find ourselves. And again, I know we're going to have more discussion on this. I really appreciate the specifics about possible numbers and what that might actually mean in terms of impact in making up some of this loss. But it's very difficult to sit on this board and have to make those decisions and balance those components, those considerations, knowing that on one hand we have a financial impact on members of this community who are struggling, and also knowing that we have kids who are here now who deserve the same equitable education as everybody else. And so I just felt the need to say that in this meeting. I don't know where my head's going to be at in a work session or next week, but that's where I am right now, and I feel like that's information that people need to know.
Yeah.
So,
Well
no
said.
question.
Well said. I just want to say quickly, just to add to that, one thing that we've noticed over the past few years is the partnership with the state is not guaranteed, but the partnership with our community is. And it's unfortunate to have to continue to go back. And also, well said. Laura?
Oh, I was just going to say yes. And I'll build your soapbox for you. Hold on.
Chair Granlund? Yes, go ahead. I have a question.
Yes.
So the number that we're showing the numbers we're showing as potential increases, there's some balancing to that, isn't it, from the previous, like, levy, so that the wash, there would be a net wash of I think you had mentioned that one of our levies, like, is expiring, and therefore the amount of increase may be less than on the taxpayer. Just
Yes, there's nuances to it for sure. Enrollment changes is one nuance. I mean, these levies are per pupil. And so if our per pupil goes down, our number of students goes down, and which we do predict, like was mentioned earlier, across the state of Minnesota, live births are down. So, in general, most school districts are projecting some level of decline in enrollment. So that will impact it, because if we have less students, we need that per pupil is less money, then the tax is less. And it obviously can go the other way too, if our enrollment greatly increases. But also, yes, there are additional debt that we're paying off, one of which is lease levy. So lease levy dollars for building things that we've done in the past. There's a state cap on how much we can lease levy for, and we've done that for different projects. And those dollars, I think it's 2028, 2031, and 2032. There's 3 different ones. So after 2028, we do have one that drops off. And that, will be, once that debt is gone, then there's less levy that goes along with that. So there are things that will impact that for sure. And, we've talked about it before, the fiscal disparities pool, which, the communities pay into. If, as you are levying more, you get, as your levy amount as comparison to other districts is how much you access from that fiscal disparities pool. Last time when we increased, that bumped us up, and we actually increased the amount that we gained from that fiscal disparities, which has a positive impact to the taxpayers of our community. And it actually, that next year our taxes went down a little bit because of the additional fiscal disparities. So there are some definitely nuances to it. It's complicated. And that's why we put this out, it's a snapshot in time. Like this is what, we have. But I think that, and we've proven over time that we've been, pretty dang close on where we say we're gonna be. So, we'll continue to work hard to make sure that we are. That's part of the trust, that we need to maintain, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have, oh my goodness, you guys, it's Director Hennekens talking about workers' compensation insurance renewal. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Granlund, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenvik. So this next presentation, workers' compensation renewal. This is a yearly renewal for us for workers' compensation insurance. Our mission, Columbia Heights Public Schools, is creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. With our core values of community excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation, all aligning with the CHPS Board of Education Equity Statement. So, the governance on this presentation, this is informational tonight, so no governance tonight, but it'll be brought back on June 30th as the board needs to approve this as an action item for our renewal of our workman's compensation insurance. We have a long-standing relationship with Marsh & McLennan Agency for our workman's compensation insurance, and in recent history, we've been working with the provider of United Heartland. This partnership has been very good for us. Particularly in the last 6-7 years. Nobody?
Oh, I didn't know.
I thought it.
I looked at Mary.
Okay.
And
No, I thought it.
Oh, no, I almost did it.
So our experience mod rate, which is basically telling us how we're doing. with our, because it really, our insurance premium is all about our claims, and, you know, the rate of accidents and what claims we have within the district, both from a medical standpoint, for if somebody's injured at work, and if they're they can't work, so they're at home and they're not at work. And so experience mod below 1 is very good, because that means that we're beating what we anticipate our claims rate to be. So they factor based on the number of staff you have in each category and what the total salary is for all of those staff, what your dollar amount for claims rate will be. And then that factors into, you know, where you're actually at, factors into your mod rate. It's looking at a 3-year period.
Can I interrupt for a second? The policy term 25-25?
Oh, sorry.
Should that be a 20?
That should be 24, 25.
Because I was like, that
Yeah.
math isn't mathing.
25, 26, and 26, 27.
I was looking at it going, is there 3
All right.
different
I was like, what are you
policies?
looking at?
It was a long year for work.
It was a long year
He
for it.
got to the 0.67
Okay,
and he
so
just
it's
lost it. He
24,
crashed out.
25 was a 0.99, 25, 26 was a 0.77, 25, or 26, 27 is going to be, is 6.67.
Make
Yeah.
it stop.
There you go.
6'7" is 6'7"?
Yes.
What do we do? Math is mathing.
All right.
There we
So
go. Straight in.
I'm going to get off of that screen and go to this one, because the dates on here are a little bit better. So this is a long-term snapshot of what this presentation has gone off the rails, and it's 8:15. This is an indication of how we've done over time. So you can see, you know, in like 2014, 15, at a mod rate of 1.38. That means we had a lot of accidents or a few, you know, expensive ones where people were out of work, high medical. And so, you know, we've worked very hard over time. You can see that we've brought that number down. And, you know, currently with Marsh & McLennan, who is a very big provider for schools for workman's comp, and we set the standard. We're the lowest. So
Oh, yeah, I can tell you that.
Believe it.
With what was that percentage was the lowest?
0.67 is extremely low.
So now it's going to be incredibly difficult to stay there, and I'll show you the graph in a minute. But again, this is a 3-year average, so it's a 3-year look back. So it's not this year's claims, but it's the previous 3 years that we're looking back on to provide this 0.67 mod rate. And moving forward, you know, for the next cycle, at this point, we would anticipate that to go up a little bit, but doing very well. So you can see, so our anticipated, based on our current staffing and salary, our anticipated claim rate is 71,000 and change. So for this past year, we're just under that number. So if we're averaging a 3-year rate at where we're anticipated, we'll be right at about that 1.0. So we're not in a bad place. It looks bad because it suddenly spikes back up to where, you know, it was back in 16. But it's really not that bad. So we would anticipate our mod rate to go up, but we'll still have a very healthy mod rate, and our insurance premium will still be very good. So here we see the correct dates for each year. 24, 25, our premium was $183,262. 25, 26, 189, so it went up a little bit. But for 26, 27, even though our salary have gone up for our district, as they do every year, our costs for staff, our mod rate went down about 4.3%. Our total premium cost went up down 4.3%. So workman's compensation rates continues to be a pretty high note for us as far as saving money. And so again, you know, to continue information to the staff about slips, trips, and falls, making sure that staff are doing the right things, not standing on chairs instead of ladders, you know, all the things that we can continue to do to make sure that that's a great number. You know, of course, you know, winters, you know, depending on how bad the winters help. But so it's a great high point. So bring this back to the next meeting for approval of a renewal for workman's compensation with our continuing with Marsh & McLennan and United as our carrier.
Thank you so much.
Having a water gun fight.
Oh, there's a water gun fight outside.
Mama's on it.
So, yep.
Yes.
So, since Superintendent Stenvik's walking out, Stephanie, could you please make sure that that fun graph that Brian had in his?
It's right here, isn't it?
Yeah, could we have that in our, because it didn't make it into our presentation.
Oh, okay.
Board book. Thank you.
You want the last two graphs?
No, we have.
Just the bar graph.
We just don't have the bar graph.
Just this bar graph here?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Laura, go ahead.
Well, I guess maybe some historical context here as well is I believe back in 2014, the overall with the workman's comp, they did like an adjustment for how they gauge stuff, so we did have a sudden spike there, which didn't have anything to do with it suddenly becoming more dangerous, although at the time we did have more claims. But that was more of, but the work of the district on bringing those hazards and stuff down, especially trips and falls, that's always the biggest one.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
They also did that in 24-25, so that's why .81 jumped to .99 because they did an adjustment, and so maybe that's an every 10-year thing that they do, but.
Yeah. Now, over at 916, obviously, our mod rate is a lot higher because there is a lot more, student contacts with deregulation and so on. So a lot of the work that's done over there was just in regards to, maybe different ways of being able to de-escalate situations is something that we also handle here as well. So
Wonderful.
Yes.
anyway, so just saying.
Point well taken, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you very much for that, appreciate
Thank
it. Next up, we have policy first reading. The only policy that we had reviewed on the May 12th, 2026 policy subcommittee meeting is policy 514, bullying prohibition policy, including cyberbullying. This is a yearly review that requires 2 readings. As always, I believe this information is on our website, and people are welcome to look at that and give any feedback that we will take into account. As of right now, it's information only, but I assume it'll come back to us for approval. All right. Guys, 2.5 hours later, we are in for action items. First up is the long-term facilities maintenance plan with Director Hennekens.
you,
Welcome back.
Thank you, Chair Granlund, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenvik. So attached in your board pack this evening, we have the school district's 10-year long-term facility maintenance plan. The plan was presented at the previous school board meeting on May 26th as an information item. Each year, the district is required to submit an approved LTFM plan to the state in order to receive our long-term facility maintenance dollars. So you have the full plan in your packet, and we're presented it previously, so just seeking approval for that 10-year plan this evening.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the long-term facility maintenance plan?
So moved.
Thank you, Laura. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Julie.
We both said it at the same time.
Discussion.
Well, we just recently had a little fire or a piece of equipment. Does that fall under this?
We had can I?
Yeah, go
share?
ahead.
We
Yep.
had an issue with one of the air conditioning units on the roof in which a belt overheated and maybe melted.
Yeah, the fan came apart and the motor kept running, and so then the belt
belt heated
did
up.
burn up, and so that
Up on the
created
roof,
obviously a
though.
lot of smoke, and so it created a little evacuation, and
It wasn't,
yes,
it was a small amount of smoke.
yes, a little smoke. But yes, long-term facility maintenance dollars will help pay for the repair of that. It takes about 2 weeks to get parts and to repair it. So we had to move some programming, so it is inconvenient. And it is an aged piece of equipment, but it's still worth fixing at this time considering that it would probably be December before we could get a new unit, so, but yes.
Thank you.
Great question. Jessica?
You know what they say, where there's smoke, there's a melted belt. I did just want to note that we did have more detailed discussion about this at the last meeting, and so that is available if anyone is interested in the specifics of our plan or the impact of that plan.
Yes. Thank you very much. Well received. All right. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the long-term facilities maintenance plan as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the District 916 long-term facility maintenance plan with, again, Director Hennekens.
Thank you, Chair Granlund, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. Like the previous presentation, and this was presented back on May 26th, each year, every member district in District 916 must approve a long-term facility maintenance plan, as the District 916 can't levy for that themselves, so the member districts do for their portion of it. Within the packet, it includes the breakdown of the portion and the members, and then the resolution within there. So again, this was discussed previously, so seeking approval for the District 1916 Long-Term Facility Maintenance Plan resolution as presented at the previous meeting.
All right, thank you so much. Can I get a motion to accept the resolution for long-term facility maintenance plan for District 916?
So moved.
Thank you, Laura. Can I get a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Discussion. As always, I will just add, not only was this discussed previously, but the reason why these are two different things is because we are in a partnership with other districts, and District 916 cannot levy on its own behalf, so it reaches out and asks its partner districts to do that, and so that is what this is for. It just bears repeating so that people don't say, why are we doing this again? Did we not just talk about this? Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, and we do have ownership in these, so this is part of our district, but we share the ownership with other districts. So that is why we're levying for a district that's outside.
Well said. All right. Any other discussion? All right. I will go ahead and read the resolution. And we'll go into a roll call vote. All right. Pursuant to due call and notice thereof, a school board meeting of School District Number 13, State of Minnesota, was held on June 16th, 2026 at 6 p.m. for the purpose in part of approving the fiscal year 2028 long-term facility maintenance budget and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of Northeast Metro 916 Intermediate School District's long-term facility maintenance projects in the district's application for long-term facility maintenance. Be it resolved resolution approving Northeast Metro 916 Intermediate School District's long-term facility maintenance program budget and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of those projects in the district's application for fiscal year 2028 long-term facility maintenance revenue. Be it resolved by the School Board of School District Number 13, State of Minnesota as follows. The School Board of Northeast Metro 916 Intermediate School District has approved a long-term facility maintenance program budget for its facilities for the 2027-2028 school year, pay 2027 levy, in the amount of $600,500, of which School District Number 13's proportionate share is $21,507 for pay-as-you-go projects. The various components of this program budget are attached hereto and are incorporated herein by reference. Said budget is hereby approved. Minnesota Statute Section 123B.595 Subdivision 3 provides that if an intermediate school district's long-term facility maintenance budget is approved by the school boards of each of the intermediate school district's member school districts, each member district may include its proportionate share of the costs of the intermediate school district program in its long-term facility maintenance revenue application. the proportionate share of the costs of the intermediate school district's long-term facility maintenance program for each member school district to be included in its application shall be determined by utilizing a blended rate where 25% of the rate is determined by multiplying the total cost of the intermediate school district long-term facility maintenance program times the ratio of the member school district's net tax capacity to the total net tax capacity, and 75% of the rate is determined by multiplying the total cost of the intermediate school district long-term facility maintenance program times the ratio of APU by member district to the total APU. The inclusion of this proportionate share in the district's long-term maintenance revenue application is on a different page. For fiscal year 2028 is hereby approved, subject to approval by the Commissioner of Education upon receipt of the proportionate share of long-term facility maintenance revenue attributable to the intermediate school district program. The district shall promptly pay to the intermediate school district the applicable aid or levy proceeds. So this is where I should have made the motion, and I did it early, so I apologize for that. For clarity, should I again make the motion? Parliamentary, no, okay, cool. All right.
We have,
Hmm?
the resolution's been moved and seconded.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're good.
if there's no further discussion, we'll move into a roll call. Oh, we have a discussion, go ahead.
Chair Granlund, just a note that I didn't Google it in time, but for future resolutions of this type, I now know how to ask to suspend the rules to waive reading
I was
of
going
such a
to ask,
resolution.
but I saw it was only 2 pages.
I haven't had to read a lot tonight, so, but I thank you, I
You
appreciate
did
that.
very well, too.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You got your fumble out earlier.
I did, yeah.
But at the time I sufficiently Googled it, you were like in the last 3 sentences, so.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, any other discussion? All right, we'll go into a roll call vote if you would, Laura.
That way.
Aye.
Palmer, aye. Maderas?
Aye.
Bodnas?
Aye.
Poole?
Aye.
Granlund?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Resolution carries, sorry. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have school board liaison for the 26-27 school year. One thing that we have discussed previously is that it's weird to switch liaison roles in the middle of the school year. So in an effort to make it more aligned to the school year, so it's less confusing for everybody involved, us and our staff, and students and whoever, we are moving forward to doing it starting at July 1st to June 30th. Thank you, Director Hennekins. Members, you have in your notes the current liaison to schools. So now we are looking for having a discussion and making appointments of board liaisons for the next school year. Now, granted, we do have an election coming up. We will have some change in our board. And so knowing that as people come in and join the board, if they are not already on the board, they will then take over the spot of the person or persons that are departing, just for clarity. And then we'll continue on. So that being said, open for discussion in terms of board appointment.
What we would like?
Yeah.
I'd like North Park.
Anybody else want North Park?
No, I would like Highland.
All right, so Michelle would like North Park. Jenna would like Highland. Julie and Laura, do either of you have a preference? Jessica?
No.
Okay. Julie, would you like the Family Center, Valley View, or Columbia Academy?
Um,
the high school?
I'll take Family Center
The
again.
Family Center, wonderful, thank you. Laura?
I'll take the high school.
High school, awesome. And then that is, so CA and Valley View are left.
That's just,
Well, I know that
Maybe.
Chair Granlund would love to have Valley View. I know that special place in your heart,
It is a special place in my heart, yes.
and I would be happy to be the liaison to CA.
All right, then I see that Superintendent Stenvick is noting that, so,
As
thank
if you
you.
won't see each other at every event.
Yeah, right, yep, go ahead.
Should I run through it and make sure I've got it
Yes, if you would,
accurate?
yes, if you would, repeat that back, thank you.
Columbia Heights High School, Laura Palmer. Columbia Academy, Jessica Medeiros. Highland, Jenna Fadnes-Bondis. North Park, Michelle Petway. Valley View, Mary Granlund. And Family Center, Julie Hool. Is that accurate?
Yes, all right, appointment done. Okay. That does not require a vote as it is an appointment process. All right, next up, lastly, we have the personnel report. Can I get a motion to accept the personnel report?
So moved.
Thank you, Laura. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Michelle. Discussion. I will say at this time, I will be abstaining from this vote as I have a family member on the personnel report.
You have to vote.
Nope, we double checked on
It's
this.
not a licensed teacher.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not a
so
licensed teacher.
Not a licensed, yeah, okay.
He is not a
Okay.
licensed,
I was
yep.
gonna say, I knew that there was a threshold.
Yep,
in there.
yep.
Okay.
So
We did double check.
Yep,
Okay.
this was yep, we discussed it. So thank you for clarifying that,
Yes,
but yes.
yeah. I was gonna say, it has to be unanimous.
Yep, yep,
Which I do,
yep.
you know.
But because it is for a non-teacher role, I will be abstaining from this vote. So, any other discussion about the personnel report? No? All right. Then we will go ahead and move into a vote. All those in favor of accepting the personnel report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Aye. Motion carries. Nice work. Board topics. I would just say that.
Chair Granlund,
yes?
just for clarification, when you called abstain, you said aye.
Oh, did I?
But,
Oh,
you
abstain. I'm
abstained.
sorry. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, I did abstain from that. Thank you. It's the first time I've ever abstained from a vote, guys. It's a big day.
I think I've only done it twice.
Okay, board topics. Mayor Terry from the city of Hilltop has kindly invited us to attend the ice cream social that's happening. However, every year they have it on a Tuesday. And it's not the Tuesday that we're off. So it is actually happening during our work session next week, which is very sad because I know that we would love to be there to attend. However, folks that are at home, please, please, please feel free to go.
Ben and Jerry's
It's
ice
Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It is.
It's a really nice event. They
It's a-
have giveaways and people are,
Yep.
I
gathering.
want the giveaways.
So it is their annual ice cream social. It is from 5:30 to 7:30. They're celebrating 70 years this year. It's all free while supplies last. They have Ben and Jerry's ice cream. They have backpacks and school supplies for kids, face painting, and also a bouncy house. So a lot of fun happening there.
What time?
Yep, from 5:30 to 7:30.
They
Thank
changed
you.
their time or something. I felt like, how was I allowed to go? Like, how was I able to go when I did?
Must have been an off
It
It was a really,
It
I
couldn't
think,
have been. It must have been like at 4 that day or something,
Maybe
like
it was-
earlier, and I was able to still come and had to be. But yeah, that was awesome.
and then also, I believe this Thursday is the city of Columbia Heights. Oh, it's tomorrow, it's Wednesday.
Art and Info Fair.
Yeah, the Art and Info Fair
Weather dependent.
at Huset Park
Weather.
tomorrow. I don't have the times on my,
4 to 7.
thank you, 4 to 7, all right.
My understanding is they'll make the call by noon in terms of the rain that's forecasted.
Wonderful, thank you so much. All right, Any other, yes, any other others? Yes, go ahead.
That reminded me that, weather permitting, all of the PTOs across the district will be hosting a table at the Art and Info Fair tomorrow.
Oh, that's fun.
So we're there to talk to families about all of the opportunities for involvement at all 5 of our schools, and to get information back to the individual PTOs so they can connect.
Excuse me.
And we're gonna have a lollipop tree there also.
Oh, yay.
So stop by and get a sucker.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other others? All right. If there's no other others, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:39.